Hello, Facebook and YouTube. Welcome, Dr. Tom Forfer here for the Doctors Collective. And today we're going to be talking about what is your big vision for your future, for your career, for your family, for the life that you want to be leading. So we're going to be talking about that today for a very important reason. I'll tell you in a second, but just to give you a heads up, I've got Facebook and YouTube here, and I've got Instagram here. So I'm just trying to keep eye contact with everybody. So I'm going to be kind of looking around a little bit. And if you have any questions about what we're talking about, type them in, either above or below, wherever the comment section is for this video, well, on whatever platform you're viewing it. And let me know what your questions are. If you like what we're talking about, hit the like button. But let's talk about your big vision for the future. Now, this is a really, really important point because a lot of the doctors that I speak to, a lot of our private clients, they come to us and they're like, right, when I started medicine, I thought it would be this particular thing. You know, they had this particular expectation or a vision for what life would be like as a doctor. Welcome, Jeff and Dorota. Welcome all the way from Canada. Cool. So often we begin with this great vision of where we want to be in the future. You know, we'll get into medicine for all these different big reasons. You know, one of the people that I've been speaking to recently, you know, or a lot of the doctors that I speak to wanted to travel and wanted to go overseas and work in developing countries, to like Doctors Without Borders, that kind of stuff, to really make a big impact on the world. Or they wanted to change the system, or they wanted to change the way patients were looked after, or they saw things happening throughout their career that they really want to change and improve. And they had and also they thought, they saw, you know, my lifestyle would be a particular way. They knew they'd be busy, but they also expected to be, you know, having some time with family and friends and being healthy and enjoying the process. But then something changes along the way, right? Over the years of getting through your studies and your training and the programs and the work, things start to erode and change over time. And you know what? Maybe you're in a place where you're loving what you're doing, but you're not quite where you want it to be, where you expect it to be, and where you want to be ultimately. Or maybe it's, you know, it's completely dissatisfying at the moment. But ultimately, there are two types of doctors and often entrepreneurs at the same time that I speak to. And they're these types. The number one are the ones that are like almost over the whole thing. Right? They're like, right, this is not what I expected it to be. I'm working my ass off. People don't appreciate what I do. I've given everything I can to this profession, to this life, but I've hit all the goals, all the targets. I've hit all those points. On paper, my life looks fantastic. I should be doing well, but I'm miserable. My marriage is a mess. I don't see my kids. I travel, but I'm not enjoying the process. So I'm working like a dog, and I'm not really fulfilling the vision that I had for myself in the future, in the past for the future. They're the first type. The second type are like, you know what? I actually like what I'm doing. You know, it's gone well. It's got its ups and its downs, but it's going well. But yeah, it's not what I expected it to be, and I'm not. And I do have different expectations for the future. I have this particular vision. It might not be particularly clear, but they have a whole bunch of ideas, and possibilities of what they could do and what they would love to do in the future. Maybe it's an educational program, or maybe it's a training program for their staff, or for their juniors, or maybe they want to be able to add in a hobby to their lives, or live a different lifestyle. But they've got all these ideas, but they don't know how to get them out of their heads onto paper, really crystallize them as to what that's going to be, and then create a plan as to how to get there, and then actually get there. You know, that's what we help our private clients to do. But what I want to talk to you about is really the first step is starting to crystallize that vision for the future, right? And I'm not talking about what PhD you want to get, or what master's degree you want to get, or what or what level in your career you want to achieve, but more so, what is the life you want to be leading? If I call this one of my mentors, Leila Cosgrove. I think she then previously got it from another mentor called Frank Kern. It's the concept of the ideal day. Okay, what is your ideal day? If you could just write down from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, what would you be doing? With who and how? Obviously, you need to be doing some work there, but how much work? What type of work? Who would you be helping? How much time would you be having off, or with family, with friends, with exercise, travel, whatever? Hey, Vinay, welcome. Awesome. So sit down and have a look. What's your ideal day? What would that look like? Don't worry about, can I do this? I don't know how, whatever. But if you had a magic wand, what would that be? Abracadabra, bing this, what would your ideal day look like? And what I want you to focus on is the details, right? The details. So when you wake up, where do you wake up? Do you have a view from the bed? Who are you with? What do you do as soon as you wake up? What type of breakfast do you make? Do you make it yourself? Is someone making the breakfast for you? When do you go to work? Do you go to work first thing, or do you go to go to the beach? I do that. I go to the beach as soon as I get up, before everybody. I get up before the baby, before my wife. I pack the previous day. I get in the car and I drive to the beach, and just to get myself, into great state and get pumped up for the day and feeling really good. And I enjoy it. So it's fun. So I've got Instagram here and I've got Facebook and YouTube here. So I'm kind of skipping between the two. So yeah, the details, right? What is it that you'll be doing? And then the other thing is the work. Okay. That's what we're really here talking. I mean, that's partly what we're talking about, but the work's going to help you to get to where you want to be. So the work, what type of work do you want to be doing? What kind of an impact do you want to be making? Who do you want to be helping? Do you want to have a book or two or three? Do you want to be traveling, talking at conferences, or do you want to be working on a startup, or do you want to be working in business, or both medicine and business, or do you want to be traveling at the same time? Do you want to be doing a bit of work in Australia or wherever you're from, and then going overseas and spending some time there? And have really articulate what kind of work you want to be doing, who you're going to be helping, and also how that's going to make you feel. Now, how will you feel doing that? What are the feelings that that'll give you? What are the feelings that you actually want to be experiencing? And also, the other thing I want you to look at is why. Why do you want to be leading that life? Why do you want to be helping those particular people in that particular way? And it's not, because it feels good. Yeah, it feels good, but let's look at the details. Why does that feel good in that particular way? I spoke to one particular doctor. He had been a specialist for a few years now. He was doing academic work, but also, that's right, he was a GP, doing after hours work on the weekends. During the week, he was busting his ass in academia. And on the weekends doing extra work and just kind of overwhelming himself with work. And when people do that, whether they're doctors or entrepreneurs or a combination of the doctorpreneurs, and they're working 24/7, it's a bit of a clue. And I often ask them, well, what I've found is that they're often, but not always, often running away from something. Not running away from something, but there's something that if they were to stop working would arise that they're trying to avoid, that they'd rather not feel or experience, be it loneliness or fear or depression or doubt, self-doubt, whatever it is. It arises if they were to stop working like a dog. So if that's what you're doing at the moment, it might be worthwhile kind of exploring that for yourself to see where that's going to what that is for you, because that underlying issue has to be addressed as well, right? Because no matter what you do, if you're running away from something, it will drive you for so long until you're tired of running, and then you're faced between two difficult in a difficult position. So when you're looking at this vision, ask yourself why you want to be doing that. So is it because you're running away from something, or because it'll give you something? What kind of impact? What kind of feelings will that give you? What kind of experience of life will that be for you? And once you've started to articulate that, you'll find that it'll be one of three things. You'll either be shit scared, because, oh my God, this is terrifying, I want to go do something else, and you find yourself distracting yourself. Maybe even watching this, you find at this point you feel the need to go do something else because the thought of actually doing this is terrifying. That's one thing, and that's okay. You got to experience that because that's part of the process. Number two, it might be extremely exciting. You might be like, holy shit, this is awesome. Let's do this. How do I do it? It might be that. Or number three, you may be indifferent. It might be just like, right, let's just do this. Cool, this is clarity. I know what I'm doing. Let's do it. That's the experience I had when we did a planning process, my wife and I, recently, a week or two ago. And I actually spoke about that yesterday. If you're just joining us for the first time on this live, I'm going live every day this month to give you guys, doctorpreneurs and doctors and entrepreneurs, a really big start for the year. Because at the start of the year, let's get a boost, let's get it going. And so I'm doing these lives every day this month. And I started yesterday. So, every day minus 2 days. But I started yesterday. And yesterday I talked about our annual planning session, how we plan the year ahead. And it's not your usual, jam-packed with vague or goals of things I want to do. It's not a New Year's resolution thing. It's not an overwhelming list of to-dos and musts that lead to burnout. But it's more about what feelings do we want to be having? What experiences do we want to be having? What kind of habits do we want to be working on? What kind of experience of life do we want to have over the next year? And then working from there to identify what are the practicalities of actually achieving that and creating a plan. So I covered that yesterday. So that's on YouTube or on Facebook. Check it out there. But the feeling I had once we completed that process for ourselves, for me, it was very different than the previous years. In the previous years, I've had this feeling of kind of anxiety and excitement, which for me was great at the time. But at the moment, I'm like, you know what? I'm sick of that crap. I just want to kind of enjoy life, feel good, get some awesome stuff done, but enjoy the process. So it was really reassuring to go through this process this year and go, right, you know what? Cool. Let's do this. Let's do this. So that might be one of the third things that come out for you when you've identified this vision. Or maybe number four, you start confused. You don't know what the hell I'm talking about. And in that case, if that's you, then, type in some questions, get in touch with us, send us a message. Happy to help, happy to have a chat with you about that. But I mean, this vision is super important so that you know why you're working your ass off, why you're doing this, and also what may help you to get there, right? Because at the moment, a lot of people are kind of stuck. Like they're like this limbo. They're like, I want to do things. I'm not quite satisfied here. I know I want to do things differently. I don't quite know what that is. I got a bunch of possibilities, but I don't know what that's going to be. I don't know how to get there. And they're kind of all over the place. But this is the first step. Pinpointing this will start to give you clarity around that. There's more. I mean, I'd love to go through with it individually, but I mean, that's what we do with our private clients. But for now, you can get started with it here. And in the following days, I'm going to start talking about, the plan. Because for some of you, it might be the big vision might include things like writing a book, setting up a business, a program, a retreat, a trip, an experience, a book. Did I already say that? Or all sorts of things that not necessarily mean you have to be working with patients clinically one-on-one. If that's what you want to do, great. If you want to do a combination of that and other things, awesome too. And I'm going to be talking about that over the coming days as to how to actually start putting this thing together, and other things that I've got in store for you that are really cool as well from my experiences. And I'll talk about my experiences as well, because I've kind of gone from being the overworked doctor who wasn't satisfied to then running an online business that gave us the leverage to travel 6 months of the year. Right, so we would travel internationally 6 months of the year, and then 6 months of the year would be in Australia, and we did that for a number of years before we had our daughter. And we've been here at home in Australia for the last 2 years, and this year we're going to be making a move to Queensland over the winter, so that we're going to be migrating to warmer weather. But anyway, watch this again if you want to kind of get a bit more clarity. If you have any questions, let us know. Tune into the next ones, and it's going to be a lot of fun when we're making a lot of changes and living a great life. So speak to you soon. All the best. Bye for now.